Have you ever thought of how it would be to live a life where you're free, fearless, and unstoppable? Imagine waking up in the morning, looking forward to the day ahead, enjoying a joyful, passionate life that you deserve. If so, our brand new Unstoppable, Renew You, Love Your Life 90-Day Coaching Program is for you. This is a balanced, well-crafted program that will guide you through a 3-step process over a course of 90 days that meets weekly, led by DrStem over Zoom. In 12 weeks, you'll get to the heart of what's holding you back so you can reset and refresh your life. The program is based on 3 pillars: inner healing, self-discovery, and self-development. Don't waste any more time putting off your heart's desires. If you want clarity and guidance as you step into your wholeness, join DrStem in this life-changing program. To be a part of the next group, apply at www.drstemy.com. Seats are limited. Go ahead and register. Now, here is DrStem.
Hello, and welcome to this Mental Health Awareness Month. If this is your first time watching any of my videos, my name is Dr. Stembile Malatini, and I welcome you. You have no idea how excited I am to finally get to do this. For years, right, I have wanted to record something or even do a live presentation on what mental health is, as well as, just answer any of your questions that you might have about mental health. Couldn't do it because I was just too busy, I guess. I am a private practitioner in mental health. I have a private practice in mental health counseling in Orlando, Florida. That's why you can see that background. I'm also a motivational speaker. I'm an author and a coach. So between all of those things, it just has been too much. But you know what? To everything, there's a season, and there's a season to everything. This is the moment that we have. I'm so excited to have this moment with you. So grab a piece of paper, a notebook, your journal, and begin watching this presentation on what is mental health, because what we're going to do is to demystify the myths that you might have, statements, knowledge of what mental health is. And I'm also going to share with you how you yourself can self-manage your own mental health and mental awareness, as well as for you and your family. Okay, as I said, please get your journals, your notebook ready, and get yourself about an hour and a half that you're totally just immersed with this presentation. So just to make the most out of it, what I'm going to do is I am going to turn down my video camera, because I want you to see all the facts and the points that I'll be putting across to you, so that if you have any questions at all, at the end, I'll give you my contact information that you certainly can send me any questions that you might have based on this presentation, and I can help clarify or give you more information. So let's begin our training or presentation. By the way, I love doing training. So if you're listening to this and you are in a position to hire trainers for your organization, for the church, or for any group that you have, please contact me. Again, I'll put my own information at the end, or you can just visit my website at www.drstemy.com. Today, we are talking about mental health awareness, overcoming the stigma. So as a disclaimer, I always like to start with this, because remember now at the beginning, I did tell you that I am a licensed mental health professional right here in the United States. So as a requirement, I'm required to make sure that I let you know that this presentation is not intended to provide medical or mental health advice, diagnosis, or treatment. The content that I'm going to be presenting today is only for information and education only. However, if you're an individual that is going through, any risk of hurting yourself or hurting someone else, please dial 911 immediately or go to your nearest emergency room if that is, what is going on with you, or if you know anyone that might be going through that. That's the best way to take care of them. Just take them to the hospital, dial 911 and call law enforcement. And that is the number for the United States of America. If you're in a different country, please call your emergency contact in your respective countries. When we are talking about mental health, especially when we're talking about, demystifying the myths and the facts and, information that and reducing the stigma, we have to talk about a shift in mindset, because many of us have believed mental health to be something that is different from, the other person, depending on your experience, where you grew up, the information that you heard. So I love what Brené Brown, who's a fellow mental health professional, says. She says, everyone has a story that will break your heart. And if you're really paying attention, most people have a story that will bring you to your knees. Isn't that the truth? We all have a story, and each of our stories will bring anyone and everybody to their knees. So I'm going to start off with talking about the misconceptions or the negative statements, beliefs, or the myths that are out there about mental health. So hopefully I'll give you the facts and you will go with the facts rather than the misconception or myths that are out there. The first one is children don't experience mental health problems. The fact is mental health affects everyone. Even very young children may show early warning signs of mental health concerns. In fact, mental health actually, affects many young people. And right now, the research says 1 in 5 American, adults experience mental health. However, they also say 1 in 6 young people experience a major depressive episode. 1 in 6 young people experience a major depressive episode. So even very young children may show early signs of, mental health. And these mental health problems are often, diagnosed clinically by a licensed professional that can help you, make the right diagnosis. So I don't encourage you to just diagnose your own children. Please see someone who can help you correctly diagnose a child if you see any signs of mental health in a child. Half of all mental health disorders actually show their first signs in people before they turn 14 years old. And 3/4 of mental health disorders are diagnosed, around the age 24. So you notice that right in kindergarten, primary school, secondary school, and even college, that's when you start to see children experiencing mental health problems and struggling with mental health, problems. And unfortunately, only half of those children are diagnosed, or their parents actually take them in and say something is not right. One indicator that I noticed when I was working with teenagers and adolescents was that, many of them start to self-medicate. They start to smoke, they start to drink because they'll be experiencing some form of mental health or mental illness at and around those ages. So then that's an indication to maybe try and get them help rather than them continue to self-medicate. Another myth, people with mental health problems are violent and unpredictable. Many people actually think this, believe it or not, that people with mental health problems, are violent and they are unpredictable. The vast majority of people with mental health problems are no more likely to be violent than anyone else. Most people with mental illness are not, more violent than regular people, would act. So that's not, correct. It's actually a myth. In fact, people with severe mental illnesses are over 10 times more likely to be victims themselves of violent crime than the general population. So if there goes that myth, it's not correct. People with mental illness actually can be victims of people with, violence rather than them being violent. Myth: people with mental health needs, even those who are managing their mental illness, cannot tolerate the stress of holding down a job. Many people actually have believed this, and I have heard people saying that because of their mental illness, or they were organizations that we're not sure if people with mental illness would be able to tolerate the stress and hold down a job. People with mental health problems are just as productive as other employees. In other words, I also have heard other employers who have hired people with mental health problems actually saying they're good employees, they have good attendance, and they actually are more punctual. They're motivated, they work well, sometimes even better than what we call normal, employees, or people that, refer themselves as normal. So then, many a time, this is truly a myth that people with mental health needs, even those who are managing their mental illness, cannot tolerate stress of holding down a job. They actually can tolerate and stand stress. Another myth: personality weakness or character flaws cause mental health problems. People with mental health problems can snap out of it if they try hard enough. Mental health problems have nothing to do with being lazy or being weak, and many people actually want and need to get better. So many factors contribute to mental health problems, and I'll be talking about that, also later on. So we have biological factors, we have genes, physical illness, injury, brain chemistry, life experiences, trauma, history of abuse, family history of mental health problems. All those things can be a cause for mental health or mental illness. Another myth: there is no hope for people with mental health problems. Once a friend or family member develops mental health problems, he or she will never recover. That is not true, because studies show that people with mental health problems get better, and many recover, even completely recover. So recovery refers to the process in which a person is able to live again, work, learn, and even participate fully in their communities. So there are more treatments and services and community support system than ever before around the world, and those services work because there are more people that have recovered, or they are more functional now because of those services. Therapy and self-help are a waste of time. Why bother when we can just take a pill? This one I take personally, because I've been providing, therapy services, individual counseling in person, and now I'm doing it virtual, and it works. The thing about it is many people come in sometimes with this myth that therapy and self-help are a waste of time. And then because of that why bother mentality, they come in and it's not helpful for them, because then they come in with this misconception. Treatment for mental health problems varies depending on the individual. So then it could include medication, therapy, or even both. I always give the patients that option, because what I provide is talk therapy. However, if you're not in that position to mentally be able to embrace, receive, and change, behavioral change, cognitive changes, then sometimes I do recommend that they also consult with a medical provider who'll be able to, hopefully diagnose and prescribe, a medication that might help them cope and function in a better way and be able to now cognitively and behaviorally change, some of the things that they have been doing. So it is not a waste of time. Myth: I can't do anything for a person with a mental health problem. Well, friends and loved ones actually can make a big, did I say big? A huge difference. Research says in 2020, only 20% of adults received any mental health treatments in the past year, which was the 2019. And that included 10% who received counseling or therapy from a professional. Friends and family can be very important influences to get someone, have them get the treatment that they need. So here's the thing. This was research that was done and reported in 2020. I'm doing this now in 2022. And as I'm speaking to you right now, there are waiting lists for people that want to receive mental health treatment. So I am one of those people that do not have any openings, and I do not have a waiting list. When you call or contact me, if I have positions open, I will, right away schedule you. If I do not, then I'll give you some resources and referrals of some of my colleagues that might have some openings. So this number, the 20%, has gone higher, since 2020, because we have more people now seeking and receiving mental health treatment, which is so exciting for, therapists and professionals like myself, because for years we've been trying to champion people to really take care of themselves. And in doing so, I have, been one of those champions that says, listen, especially here in the United States, every year we have medical doctors asking us to have a physical every year, just to check if everything is working well physically. And I'm saying we also need a mental health check where you just call a therapist and say, listen, I just want to do a mental health check with you to see if mentally I have something that I need to work on, because it's very important that we talk to someone. Even if you think, you know what, my life is going well, I don't think there's anything that I need to talk about. I guarantee you, when you call and you say, I'm just calling because I just want to do a mental health check with you to just see if everything is, is well, or if there's anything that I need to just work on. By the time that I finish talking to you in an hour, you will be the first person to say, wait. Is it an hour already? I just had something that I was going to tell you. Because the minute we start talking, for some reason, I touch on things and ask questions on things that will trigger you to say, I think I could benefit from working on such and such and such and such, just to enhance my life, just to enhance my mental wellness. So I want to challenge you to do that if you have never done it, or if you have just been receiving therapy, but never done it where it's like, you know what, I just want to do a mental health checkup and just talk to you and just see what's working and what I need to work on. Another myth: prevention doesn't work. It's impossible to prevent mental illness. And people actually believe that it's impossible to prevent mental illness. Prevention of mental health and mental, and emotional wellness, right, focuses on addressing known risk factors, such as exposure to trauma, that can affect the chances of children, youth, and young adults from developing healthy mental health. So promoting social emotional well-being of children and youth, it leads them to having higher overall productivity, better educational outcomes, lower crime rates, lower drug use. if we are aware and actually embrace the fact that we need to protect these children from exposures that might affect their mental health. Let me remind you, if you're a parent, a caregiver, the children are always watching. They might not listen to what you're saying, but they're watching what you're doing and how you are talking to them without saying a word. That's a key to remember with this myth. So now that I have talked about the myths, and now you have a better understanding, hopefully, and an openness of now understanding what is mental health. The World Health Organization says a state of well-being by which an individual realizes their own abilities and can cope with the normal stresses of life to work productively and fruitfully. So anything that can help you to cope with normal stress so that you can work and live productively and fruitfully, that's the World Health Organization. And then the Center for Disease Control and Prevention here in the United States, the CDC, says our emotional, psychological, and social well-being, that mental health affects how we think, how we feel, and how we act. It also determines how we handle stress, relate to others, and make choices. Those are the definitions. Because if you search what is mental health, you'll get a billion, definitions. So I just wanted to take these two today for the sake of, our training or this presentation for mental health awareness. Because remember now, we are talking about a shift in mindset and totally, truly understanding what is mental health so that we can begin to reduce the stigma around mental health and build awareness and understanding. So I hope that this talk will help you do exactly that. What is mental illness? I know those two, when we talk about mental health and mental illness, the definitions, are really like similar, but there are variations on the definitions. On mental illness, the APA, American Psychiatric Association, described it as a health condition involving changes in emotion, thinking, or behavior, or it can even be a combination of all of those. Mental illnesses are associated with distress and or problems in functioning, whether we're at work, at home, or even socially or in our communities. Center for Disease Control says conditions that affect a person's thinking, feeling, mood, or behavior, such as depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder, or schizophrenia. Such conditions may be occasional or long-lasting, which means they could be chronic and affect someone's ability to relate to others and function each day. So you see, they're a little bit similar, but then this is more chronic and long-term, or maybe let me even say more serious than a mental health condition. So what's the difference? Overall, the state of the mind and wellness of how you think, regulate your feelings and behavior is mental health. And then, as I said, it's more chronic when we talk about mental illness, because the mental illness conditions are conditions that disrupt the state of the mind and how one feels and behaves. A professional diagnosis needs to be made when we are talking about mental illness, because then we will determine the nature, the duration, and we'll also talk to you about the impacts and the signs and symptoms of that particular mental illness that you'll be going through or a loved one will be going through. So it's important to have a diagnosis that is explained by a licensed professional, because then what we're able to do is to also help you with the course of treatment that might be helpful to you, some of the options for treatment that might be helpful, to you or a loved one. Mental health and mental, illnesses. Let me talk about mental health, for a minute, because what I want to make sure is, you understand that we also have a shorter term, of a mental health situation, let's say depression, just for the sake of this training, right? We have what we call situational depression or sadness, and we also have what we call a clinical depression, which is long duration. It happened a long time ago, and we've been struggling with, that. Let me talk about that in a minute. So when it comes to short, term, right? In a short-term depression, you will have one that is feelings, immediate. They are based on a life change or an event that is happening, right there and then. So it's sudden, it's temporary feeling of sadness that can happen. And it's a normal human emotion that all of us have gotten through. Let's say it's a breakup, it's a loss, it's, a divorce, loss of a job, being denied something that you really wanted to have, friends not wanting to be with you or talk to you if you're a young person listening to this. So situational depression is based on a situation of what is happening. A specific situation will trigger those emotions. And then, it passes with time. You work through it, and then you find ways to cope with it. And many a time, sometimes you might be able to handle it yourself with the help of family members or, friends. But sometimes you might even seek the help of a professional, licensed professional, talk through it, come up with some, coping skills that might be helpful, and then it's gone. Clinical depression, on the other hand, as I said, it's literally a little bit longer. It lasts for a long time. And if I make, say this, right, it's one of those things where something happens and then you're really hurt or you're really depressed, and then it carries on for a long period of time, more than 1 year, most of the time. But then you feel the sadness, continuously. It impacts your self-esteem, how you think about yourself, what you do in your life, people that you meet. That depression just lingers and you have no control over it. You don't have the ability to concentrate or focus on making decisions because of that past struggle that you had, right? And you feel empty. Many people will say, my mind is empty. I just feel empty. I don't have the energy, the courage to just get up some days or to do something that days. I just feel weak. So this is severe. And most of the time, again, people will be feeling hopelessness and just not wanting to live another day. Some days they have suicidal thoughts, and some even have suicidal attempts or plans. This is clinical depression. How will you know? Again, talk to a professional and explain everything that you've been feeling so that they can correctly diagnose how you are feeling and what the correct diagnosis is. So with the situational, depression, remember we said short-term. Clinical is long-term. Those will be the keys that will remind you, of that. So there is what we call functional depression. You probably have been hearing this word also just running around rampage among clinicians or even regular people talking about functional depression. It is true that there is also a functional depression. However, there are misconceptions that I just wanted at the get-go to also talk to you about. Someone who is too distraught to get out of bed is, a misconception, because sometimes, they're not even too distraught to get out of bed. They can get out of bed. And sometimes you may imagine someone who's not able to work or do activities due to their low mood, and you might not even see them having a low mood. They might be all hyper and, jovial and just doing things like normal, and yet they're dealing with a functional depression. Some people believe that in reality, depression takes many forms and can range greatly in severeness. That is very true. However, in functional depression, it's very difficult to determine that, even in yourself or other people. Sometimes people have what's called a functional depression, all right? And that's true, because then some people can be functional and yet they're going through depression. And I can tell you this, that during the beginning of COVID-19, when I had to shut down my office and come home, set up in my spare bedroom, and now trying to talk to the patients that I had been seeing in person, some elderly patients that I knew that, they would not be able, they live alone, they would not be able to, operate the phone, log into a link and come on, to FaceTime because they are by themselves. I went into depression myself. I went into a functional depression. I just couldn't imagine what would happen to those patients. I couldn't even know how to get them the help that they needed to just help them set up. One mind wanted to just drive over to their place and teach them how to do it, but it was so scary because then COVID was rampant. I didn't know if I could have the COVID just driving out of my house and going to their house, and then now they get sick because I have, tried to be nice to them. So I couldn't do that. And ethically, I just couldn't do that. So functional depression is real. And at that point, I knew that, oh boy, I think I'm dealing with that depression. And it is, it really impacting me. So functional depression is a high functioning depression. It's not a clinical diagnosis. This is when some individuals with depression appear somewhat fine to the outside world. They go to work, they pay their bills, they talk to people, they might even smile regularly and just appear normal. This doesn't mean that they don't feel depressed. Some of these individuals may even crawl into bed the minute they get home from work. They might sit on the couch every evening and cry all night. They could just be good at hiding their depression from others. If you're one of those high functional depressed people, I think it's okay for me to tell you that it's okay to seek treatment. It's okay to admit that you are dealing with functional depression, because then the problem is it could lead to something that could be on a clinical basis, clinical depression. At that point, that might impact your functioning. So it's okay to seek treatment if you've been dealing with it and just managing it to yourself until to the point where, because of this COVID-19 and everything that has been happening, many people have just lost control of what they were managing before. It's okay. You're not alone. Many people lost that control and are beginning now to seek ways of coming out again in what I call a bounce back, in bouncing back, so that they can be functional without having functional depression. So like all forms of depression, functional depression can stem from several different issues. It can be a combination of genetic, biological, or even life experiences that lead to functional depression. Stress, can also be a part of functional depression of somebody that is struggling with that, where, they could have an illness, unresolved grief, substance abuse issues, trauma, relationship issues. All of these things, just like any other depression, can, be something that can cause functional depression. Are the symptoms that one can feel? You can just feel low and not feeling you okay. Changes in sleep habits, sleeping too much or too little, which is also common in regular depression. Changes in appetite, often eating or decreased appetite, difficult concentrating, trouble making decisions, feelings of hopelessness. These are some of the feelings that one might feel, and also one might want to seek help if you've been struggling with that for a long time and you haven't been talking to anyone. I love this part because sometimes it's better when we have examples of what to look for. So here's a good example of functional depression. A man continues to enjoy a rich social life with friends in the evenings and on the weekends. Yet he struggles to get through the workday at times because he's depressed. Since he works from home, he's able to show up late or put off certain tasks without anyone knowing. And then a woman shows up to work on time every day and performs her job very well. She rarely engages, though, in social activities. However, because she doesn't feel like being around people. And you will notice that Mary never goes to anything that we do, or she never volunteers to do anything that, we are doing as a group. Sometimes it's because she doesn't feel like being around people, and that also could be a form of functional depression. As I said, if you're not quite sure, don't, diagnose yourself or diagnose other people. Let the professionals do the thorough evaluation and assessment and evaluation and be able to say that. However, based on some of the symptoms that I've talked about, you know yourself if you're struggling with that. And my hope is that with this education that you will be at least more knowledgeable of what's going on with you. Another functional depression example, a woman is a stay-at-home parent. She manages to take care of her parenting duties, but she feels lonely and alone and depressed during the day. She quits taking college classes because she just feels overwhelmed. That could be an example of functional depression. A college student continues to take online classes and work towards his degree, but he quits his part-time job because he lacks the energy and motivation to work. That also could be an example of functional depression. Now, general depression. Two friends have a disagreement on Monday. All right. So if one is struggling with situational depression, right? Remember that quick sadness response that is based on a situation. And in this case, the situation is two friends have a disagreement on Monday. So one in a situational depression will feel hurt, sad, and frustrated by their friend's reaction. And then they might be even too hurt to talk to their friend on Tuesday, because remember it happened on Monday, but they will initiate a phone call to discuss the issue on Wednesday. The feelings of hurt and frustration might even go away completely after they talk to their friends on Wednesday, because now, okay, it's a situation that happened. I wasn't ready on Tuesday to talk to them, but then, you know what? I'm going to talk to them on Wednesday. Let me ask if it's okay to talk on Wednesday. Then Wednesday, the friend shows up and they talk, and then fine, I'm fine. Now that I've said it, that's a person with situational depression. On the other hand, a person with clinical depression, they feel destroyed. That means I'm not worthy of being a good friend. That means that friend is not good for me. So then I don't even want to talk to anybody. I don't want to talk to him or her, but I'm not going to talk to anyone. I really feel hurt. And this is deep for me because I feel guilty. Did I say something that caused their disagreement? Was it something that I did? So these feelings will last for weeks. So then that person might even call in, sick for work because they don't want to meet, the person. They don't want to talk to the person. They might even avoid family gatherings or any gatherings just to avoid the friend because they're just in their own feelings and emotion. And this is the end, or they just feel forever destroyed. That's clinical depression. With mental health, we also have, anxiety. Again, mental health is not black and white. So at times it overlaps that people that are diagnosed with depression, sometimes you might even be, prescribed anxiety medication or diagnosed with anxiety. Mental illness, is also something that can be diagnosed when you present with a mental health situation. Remember, that has lasted long, then you can be diagnosed with a mental illness, which is, the depression, anxiety, clinical, on the clinical part. So with anxiety, there's also short-term and also clinical anxiety. So when it comes to clinical, we now call it an anxiety disorder, whereas just anxiety in itself is just generalized anxiety. And we have a diagnosis where we call it generalized anxiety. So we have something that stresses us out, or that is a cause, which we call an identifiable stressor, which is a cause of that anxiety. Getting back to work can cause, an everyday anxiety, which it did for many people that had to go back to work and being in that environment. They haven't seen each other, their colleagues, in 2 years. They haven't been in an office environment in 2 years. So then they felt overwhelmed, nervous, and some people even sweat and have butterflies. And then, some people even have a difficulty just even logging onto the computer or focusing and being alert and oriented, right there and then. Sometimes the anxiety can be about, getting married. It causes a lot of anxiety, because then there's so much to do. And, as a bride or groom, there's so much that you want done. And then, there are people that need to be invited. You don't want to miss anyone. Financial problems can cause a little bit of anxiety. So it can be positive. You want to start a business, or you're in business for yourself. It causes anxiety. You're having to learn things, new things. You're having to do new things in order to promote your business, market your business, sell the products that you have. That can cause anxiety. So anxiety can be positive. It can motivate one to accomplish something more, whether it's a project, but it can be something that can be a warning sign also, if you're in a dangerous situation. So I like it and I don't like it, experiencing anxiety, because of anxiety, I have been able to do so much. Even during the transition period of, COVID-19 in the 2 years, I have seen myself transform tremendously in my business, as well. So maybe you have also changed, whether you are, a stay-home mom, grandma, person, working at home, working in the industries, going back to work. Something changed in you because of the anxieties, that were situational, based on the COVID. Write down the list of the things that have changed. Write down what has changed in you. How have you evolved? Especially evolved for the better, where you know that if it wasn't for COVID, you probably might not have done the things that you're doing now or that you're experiencing now. On the other hand, we have anxiety disorder. This is severe, excessive anxiety that interferes again with your daily activities. One cannot self-diagnose this one. So then I also encourage you to make sure that you meet with your professional to diagnose it, because their feelings, of this kind of anxiety disorder, they can last again for weeks and months. People have racing thoughts, negative rumination, difficult getting through daily tasks. They might feel lightheadedness, sweating, trembling, heart pounding. They feel nausea. They feel like they cannot breathe or talk. There are many other symptoms that we'll be able to assess if you're talking to a mental health professional who will be able to help you diagnose that. Another example of anxiety. So with this one here, John must give a presentation in front of a large group of colleagues. Everyday anxiety response, right? John will feel butterflies in his stomach and he'll start sweating. He'll be nervous about going in front of his colleagues to do this presentation, but then he has to go. So he goes in front of his colleagues, and he can't wait to leave, the podium. Or, even if it's a computer presentation, cannot wait to get to the end, finish it, so that it's done. So that's an everyday response. And by the way, if you're one of those people that is afraid to give such a presentation, trust me, when you get to the end and you say any questions or feedback, everybody is going to say, oh, that was really good. You actually gave me one thing that I didn't know, or you helped me understand this part here. So do not be afraid. Take the chance. Anxious, and do it anxious anyway. All right. Then we have the anxiety disorder response. John might talk himself into, oh boy, I don't think my friends or even my colleagues will like this one. I think I'm just even going to get fired because my boss is not going to, think that this is good enough. He or she's going to think that I didn't prepare enough. Then when he goes to the podium or even, log into the computer, he'll just freeze, struggle to speak. The voice might be trembling, and you literally can see that, oh boy, he's nervous because his chest is just like heart pounding and feels like he cannot breathe or talk. That's an anxiety disorder response. We always say, make sure you take some deep breath in, change that self-talk to relax yourself and say, yes, I'm prepared. What if it goes well? Yes, I'm prepared. It will go well. Just that silence will help you regroup, get on that podium or log into the data, and you're ready to go. So, what is the importance of eliminating the stigma, which is our title, right? We wanted to make sure we talk about those things that will help us eliminate the mental health stigma. Well, we need to, because, the negative attitudes that people will say to me or what they believe in when I do presentations, to groups are based on the negative attitudes of what they know or a lack of understanding of what really is mental health and how, they can seek help or even help other people seek help. The other problems that we have is if we don't eliminate, the stigma, people will continue to be reluctant to seek help and support, and yet there is so much help and support that is available out there. There will continuously be social rejection where people continuously would discriminate against those people that will come up and say, you know what, I'm feeling depressed. I'm just feeling anxious. I don't know, I'm hearing voices, and it's almost like I see some things or hear people, and then I look around, but nobody else is hearing them. We will continue to have a rejection of those people that will speak that truth, those people that will be struggling with that kind of mental illness. And then those people will avoid talking about what they are feeling. They will isolate themselves and they'll be embarrassed to even mention anything, and yet many of us are struggling with the same and also shying away from talking freely about it and seeking help freely. It will get worse for many people, and yet it could be better. There will continue to be a lack of understanding among friends and family, and also harassment, violence, and bullying of people that are struggling with the mental illness or mental health will continue if we do not eliminate the stigma. There will be a lessened quality of life because people can live better. They can be healthy and happier if they can deal with this mental health, problems or troubles that they'll be struggling, through. There will also be increased feelings of shame and self-doubt that people will continue to struggle with. And I got this, source from the Mayo Clinic, Very Well Mind. So what are the steps to cope with the stigma? Love this part, because anytime that I can come up with a solution and help people come up with a solution, I really love this part here. So here I go. Get treatment. You may be reluctant to admit that you need treatment. You're not alone. Don't let that fear of being labeled with a mental illness prevent you from seeking help. Treatment can provide relief by identifying what's wrong and reducing those symptoms, as well as getting to know what can help you become this happy, smiling, loving person that you were created to be. I love these two ladies. That's why I put their image there, because we were created to be this happy. We were created to be this embracing of life. So get treatment. Don't let the stigma create self-doubt and shame. Stigma doesn't just come from others. You may also mistakenly believe that your condition is a sign of personal weakness, or that you should be able to control it without help. That is false. Seeking counseling, educating yourself as you are today, listening to this, congratulations, is also your way of saying, I need help and I need to be happy, I need to be healthy, and I need to gain my self-esteem and self-confidence so that I can live my best life and become the best version of myself. Don't isolate yourself. Excuse me. If you have a mental illness, it's very common to want to isolate yourself and not tell anybody or be around anybody. Your family and friends, your clergy, members of your community can actually offer you support. People are understanding or more understanding than sometimes we give them credit for. So don't isolate yourself. Reach out to people and just trust that you'll find the right, compassionate, supportive people and understanding people that you need. They're out there. If you meet one that is not understanding, please don't get discouraged or disheartened. Move on to the next person until you get that right, supportive person or people that can surround you. Don't equate yourself with your illness. You are not your illness. Repeat after me. I am not my illness. So instead of you saying, I'm bipolar, I have, I'm bipolar, say, I have bipolar disorder. Instead of calling yourself a schizophrenic, say, I have schizophrenia. I had to learn that, believe me, from my mother, because her and I are both diabetics and high blood pressure. And I always used to say, I'm diabetic. I'm a diabetic. She says, no, you have diabetes. You're not diabetic. And I said, oh, listen to her. My mother, she's such a quick learner. Well, just in case you didn't know, I'm originally from Zimbabwe. I usually say this at the beginning, but my mother is also from Zimbabwe, right? So brought her here. She now lives here in the United States with us. She was a quick learner because I'm a motivational speaker. So I take her for my speaking engagements, and that's how she get to learn all these things. And she quickly turns them around, and say them right back to me. So remember what I said at the beginning, that family is one of the greatest supports that you can have. My mother is one of those greatest supports because, boy, is she listening and throws it right back to me. Join a support group. Some local and additional groups, especially here in the United States, we have the National Alliance on Mental Illness. They offer programs and internet resources for free. So Google those, call your mental health, community health center, see what resources they have. If you are a veteran, the VA has, a lot of support, free supports for you. Please reach out and join a support group, or even start your own. Be brave and just start your own and say, I want to start my own group. And then once you start your own, you invite professionals like myself to just come in and do a session with you. And then you go around the world now and actually invite professionals that can just come to your group, do a 20, 30-minute presentation, answer question. That'll be so helpful. So be brave out and do that. Get help for your children and any students, in the school systems. in every school, there are resource, therapists, there are social workers in there, there are guidance counselors in the school. Reach out to them. They have more resources that they can share with you. They also can even help you connect with the community providers that are linked to the schools and the colleges. If you're a college student, there's always that, mental health center within the university itself. You can reach them via internet. They also have therapists that can talk to you via internet or even on your phone. So do not struggle alone. Those resources are free to you. You don't have to pay anything if you use the school resources. So seek support for your children as well as for your college student. And then the last one, speak out against the stigma. Consider expressing your opinions at events, in letters to the editor, on the internet. Once you watch this, I want more people to make comments and say, I am for mental health. I support mental health, awareness. Even just to say that I support mental health awareness, then let's do that so that thousands can also acknowledge that it is not taboo to talk about and to seek mental health treatment, because we all have issues. Let me say that again. We all have issues. I actually have a t-shirt that my sister made that says we all have issues, because we do. There's nobody that is immune to it. I don't care whether we're black, white, yellow, green, educated, uneducated, it doesn't matter. We all have issues. Defining mental health and emotional well-being today. So in an effort to reframe the stigma, a general statement to describe emotional and mental wellness is mental health well-being. If we say mental health well-being instead of just mental health, it helps, even for you to just be like, okay, I need to deal with my mental health well-being, right? That's easier on the mind and heart and soul. Or let me talk to you about your mental health well-being. Self-care comes under that, and many more terms will come under that. Struggle with mental health is universal. We all struggle with mental health. The young, the old, the middle-aged, we all struggle with mental illness and mental health at some point in our lives. And the one thing that we need to do is to embrace the fact that we all can, at some point or another, feel down and feel like we are not ourselves. Research for the APA and National Institute of Mental Health actually denotes that 1 in 5 adults in the United States, 46.6 million people experience mental illness in a given year. 1 in 5 youth aged 13 through 18, 21.4% experience severe mental disorder at some point during their life, which is 13% for children aged 8 through 15. As I mentioned, this research was done prior to 2020. So right now, 2022, we're waiting for new research to come up, which those numbers, I can put my word on it, that they most likely have increased. How's it going? Take a pause, drink some water. And actually, this is good because this is recorded. You can pause it at any time, drink some water, do what I call a breathing break, just to breathe, and then come back again, because it's a lot of information. And because we're talking about mental health, it also might even trigger a lot of emotions, feelings in you. That's okay. Take a break and then come back again. Because in this slide, we continue to talk about mental health well-being. And as I said, it does not discriminate. This can affect all of us, regardless of age, gender, geography, income, social status, race, ethnicity, religion, spirituality, sexual orientation, background, or other aspect of cultural identity. That is why I say, if you are a minister of the gospel, someone who has some influence over people that are believers, it's important that you share this training with your congregation, or even ask me to come and present in person where I can be available for your congregants to ask questions. It will be very helpful. So let's begin with this, where every one of them can have access to it and understand what is mental health, and then how can they have mental health well-being without discrimination or being discriminated. Now, how can you take care of yourself, nurturing mental health well-being? How can I take care of myself? Self-care. You know, I love this part, right? I even find myself like, okay, I'll drink my water. Let me drink my water, because this is the best part. Self-care. Self-care includes anything that you do to keep yourself healthy, physically, mentally, and spiritually. Although prioritizing self-care may sound like common sense, it's often the first thing that everybody just says, well, I don't have to do this today. Let me go ahead and stay at work. Let me go ahead and take care of this year, instead of taking care of themselves. Self-care can relieve the pressures of everyday life and reset yourself to get back to a healthy point where productivity is once again maximized. Keep in mind, what may be considered self-care for one person may not be considered as self-care for another. And it's okay. Find what consists of self-care that works for you, because self-care is about finding what works for you and for each of us. What works for you for self-care? What is self-care to you? Take a minute and just write down what works for you. As I'm presenting this, I am a day shy away. Tomorrow I fly out from Orlando, Florida, where I am. I'm going to Montego Bay and Ocho Rios, Jamaica for a week. That is self-care for me. So I'm going to be by the ocean. I'll have a massage by the ocean. I love taking bubble baths with candles. I bought my candles with the, scented candles. They were already in my suitcase. I'm going to make sure that I let them take my bath and just relax. That works for me. I love doing that. That works for me. When I'm back here at home, I love going for massages. I pay to get a massage twice a month. I love doing acupuncture. I used to be scared of acupuncture, believe me. I used to be very scared of the needles, but they're not even, like thread thin. And I feel so good when they do the cupping and, doctor puts all the needles on my back, my neck. It works. If you've never tried it, try it. Exercise, physical activity works really well for me. I literally started this 2022, where I wake up about 4:30 and I am at the gym at 5 o'clock in the morning. So many of you saw me last year, the year before, whenever, and, are seeing the difference now and saying, you look like you've lost weight. Yes, I have. And I feel much better because I've been exercising, because then I realized that with the COVID, if I kept sitting down, I speak to many people, and many of them have been gracious enough, to ask me, how do you take care of yourself? Because you are hearing all these stories, all these problems. People are crying. People are sad. How do you take it all in and handle it? I exercise. I sweat it all out. I sit in a bubble bath. I do meditations. I actually have, meditations on my YouTube channel that I use, and I have shared them to everybody so that you all can access them as well for free without having to pay anything on my sites and stuff. Just go on YouTube and put DrStem mindfulness meditations. You will enjoy each and every one of them. And then I want to remind you to also click on the subscribe button, because I record and I'm continuing to record more meditations and more videos and audios to help you build your mental health wellness. So proper nutrition is also, something that I would recommend when you, nurturing yourself, because keeping your body hydrated will help you feel better, improve your mood, and also keeping your body filled with the healthy nutrients. Pay attention to what you eat. Diets that are high in fiber and low in saturated fats have a positive effect in overall mood. Avoid high fat foods. I'm from Zimbabwe. We have this sada and gravy and chicken and very yummy, but very fulfilling and very high in the fats. So I've had to reduce that rice. I've had to reduce all the rice and everything, and just eat in portions. When I eat them, I eat in portions. I don't eat that big plate filled and eat where I can breathe anymore. I can't sit anymore. Even the thought of it, I can't do that anymore. I eat in portions, and even after I eat, I feel light. I drink water before I eat. I drink water after I eat, to just make sure that I'm not overeating. So eating more, foods like fish, chicken, lettuce, have really been helpful. And actually research says eating those kind of food, they can also help reduce, mood disorders such as depression. Talking it out, really helps, because then talking it out is talking it out with friends, family, and even, licensed professionals like myself. I can't tell you how many people that, and I'm humbled to say this. I'm saying this because it is humbling to hear this. When I speak and work with people and they say, "Can I take you home with me?" Or some even say, "Oh, I hear your voice all the time." It's really humbling to hear people say that, because when they say that is because if they start to think a different way that's not helpful to them, if they say something or react in a certain way, they can hear my voice helping them change so that they can respond. Responding helps calm your heart. It helps reduce the time that you're stressed out, overwhelmed, anxious, mad, angry at a situation or someone. So that's why they say, I hear your voice all the time. And this is young and old, that they say, I can't stop. I hear your voice all the time. And it's in a good way. It's in a good way. It's not the voices that I mentioned in the diagnosable mental health, diagnosis of depression or anxiety. This is a good voice where you hear a therapist saying, listen, why don't you think about it in this way? And this is because of the way that we have worked together. And they express, certain situations, and then I help them reframe them, look at it, situations in another way, and also look at different coping skills that have helped them out. So that's talk therapy. You can also talk it out with friends and family. Just don't be silent. Just don't be lonely. Just don't be alone is what I recommend in nurturing yourself. Part of nurturing yourself, as well, I mentioned meditations that I have on YouTube. You want to do more of making time to quieten your mind. In the meditations, you will see breathing meditations of all types. You have progressive muscle relaxations that I have, in the YouTube. I have done the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 grounding technique, where you'll be able to listen to those from 5 minutes to, probably 15 minutes meditations, and really calm your mind and relax your mind. Our minds are on the go. We are always thinking about something, feeling certain emotions like on a roller coaster. Go, 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 go. Meditation helps you to put the brakes and make sure that you have full attention or you're mindful of what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. Nurturing your mental health well-being, gratitude is one of those things. I remember years ago when Oprah Winfrey, came up with the gratitude journal, and she was talking about it on her shows and everything. Listen, it really, really helps to focus on those positive things that are happening in your life. So right now, name at least 3 things that you're grateful for. Write them down. Every morning, I try to write at least 5 things that I'm grateful for. Maybe you're not a morning person like myself, you're an afternoon person or an evening person. Don't let the day go by without writing at least 5 things, maybe 3 to 5 things that you're grateful for. Just make it a practice and a habit. And within 30 days of doing this consistently, I can guarantee you that things will be happening in your life just for you to be able to write them and say, oh, I'm so grateful that this happened to me this month. I'm so grateful that this happened to me. This happened to me. Things will start flowing to you that are positive to give you something positive to write about. Practice gratitude at the beginning or end of each day. Aristotle says, it is during our darkest moments that we must focus to see the light. I want you to take a break for a minute because I want to do a mindful practice with you. Let me do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 grounding technique with you. So close your notebook if you had a notebook. Just stand up for a minute. Stretch. And move your shoulders around just to relax yourself. Move the right shoulder. Move the left shoulder. And move both shoulders. Just move them around to just relax yourself. And then go back and sit quietly. If you're comfortable, I highly recommend that you close your eyes. We're going to begin with just 3 deep breaths. I'm going to encourage you to breathe through your nose and then slowly blow out through your mouth. Okay, breathe in and blow out. Breathe in and blow out. Breathe in and blow out. Now you may open your eyes. I want you to look around where you are and just notice. Notice 5 things that you can see. Your hands, wall hangings, your computer, light. Just notice 5 things you can see. Notice 4 things that you can physically feel. Your feet on the ground. My mouse, I can feel that. Then notice 3 things that you can hear. Can you hear my air conditioner? Maybe you can hear children's laughter. Maybe you can hear your own breath. Now notice 2 things you can smell. Definitely coffee. I can feel the cleaning detergent that I just cleaned my floor before I started this. You can feel the food that you just cooked or that you warmed up. Then I want you to notice 1 thing that you can taste. Maybe gum, fresh air. You may relax. So you can do this kind of exercise at any time. Find things you can notice, that you can see, that you can physically feel, that you can hear, and you can smell. That is called the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 grounding technique. Okay. So what are those things that, or indicators that I can see in myself that maybe might show me that I need to probably pay attention to my mental health, or I need to seek treatment with my mental health? That might be a question that you might be asking. So in this slide, I want to talk a little bit more about the indicators that you might be able to see in yourself or another person. A decrease in your job. Many people might start, doing less or maybe not doing so well. That's when you hear manager or supervisor calling you on it and saying, hey, this project is not done completely. This project is late. This work is not up to your standards or what I've seen you do. Anything to that effect will be an indicator that there's a decrease in your job, right? Being absent from work, calling in and not being around can be an indicator also that something is not right. Appearance, if you're a manager or supervisor, pay attention, or even a parent or a colleague, a partner, a friend, pay attention to the people that are around you. How do they appear? Because you'll notice a change when they're not being themselves. If they're clean people that, like to do their nails and to make up all the time, and then all of a sudden you just see them decreasing in their appearance or just not looking as, they always do, then that's a difference that needs to be paid attention to. Many people start being confused. I spoke to a friend the other day who said, you know what? She lost her father, and she said, I never thought that grief could cause so much confusion and forgetfulness, but I've been forgetting things and I've been confused more because of grief. And I didn't realize that it could be, that impactful. Yes. There could be a lot of confusion that you just start forgetting things, you're just not being yourself, going through a divorce, any changes in your life, that's mental health, and that causes mental health. And that could cause those emotions and changes. Change in relationships, you might start not talking to people that you used to talk to. People just irritate, annoy you. Everybody, there's no exception, or many people are just in that bad, annoying basket that I don't want to talk to them. They're just annoying. I can't stand being around people. Okay. Sleeping on the job, being isolated, having mood swings. Mood swings, the best way to determine whether you're having a mood swing, listen up to what the people are saying around you. When you hear somebody saying, what is wrong with you? Stop, pause, and check yourself. Am I being moody? Am I being abrupt? So you may even breathe and say, what do you mean? And let that what do you mean be open, what do you mean? Because if you say, what do you mean? I'll be scared to tell you what I mean by that. So just be careful how you ask it. Is it what do you mean that you really want to know whether, am I having mood swings? What's up with me? Or, it's really something that I need to pay attention to. So there will be radical changes in one's behavior, and that's an indication that you need support. How do you support others? And, how can you recognize when somebody, might need help? If you're, a parent, again, a friend, girlfriend, boyfriend, manager, supervisor, whatever, church pastor, youth advisor, this information is really important because you want to make sure that you help those that look up to you recognize as well as seek treatment, because we're talking about mental health this month. And I want this to stay, and I want it to be shared in many environments where you can literally provide this talk and provide people with food and, drinks, which is water and juice, and help them watch this, ask questions, and, also make it as a, awareness day. So recognize, the people in which you are surrounded with, whether it's at work, congregation, home, right? You are familiar with their regular habits, their behavior, their attitudes, their moods. So you will know when something feels or looks out like something is not right. First thing you might want to ask is, are you okay? Ask that, are you okay, in a way that is open, caring, and not are you okay crazy? Like, are you crazy? Okay, because you can ask, are you okay? But you might as well say, are you crazy? So there's a difference in that. Ask, are you okay? In a sense that I'm noticing something different. I'm noticing something that is not you. Is everything okay? Are you okay? Right? It communicates that you're concerned and you're open to speaking with them in a non-judgmental and supportive way. So show your support and also be open and embracing to what it is that they're about to say to you. Sometimes you might ask it in the most humble, empathetic way, and somebody will say, why you ask? What's that to you? Or, yeah, I'm fine. I'm okay. Do not feel offended. And don't make assumptions that, that means they truly must have a mental health problem. Because then, remember, now we are starting to open people up. We are starting to open ourselves up to talking about mental health. And mental health has anything that has to do with things that stress me out, that affects my mind, my actions, my thoughts, my feelings. So if something happened, of course, you're going to notice a difference in me. By the time that you ask, you can tell that this difference has lasted longer than normal. And you want to ask, are you okay? And be open to it, where somebody might not be receptive to telling you what's going on. So it's okay. Just be aware of how you ask. Be aware of your body language when you're asking it, because chances are that individual may be going through a tough time, and it's okay for them to not know even how to respond to you. They might react, but don't be discouraged. Listen and avoid diagnosing. It's not your role to diagnose, as I said. The individual, might have something that might be long-term, that might be diagnosable, or even short-term, but just don't put yourself in that role, because then it's a tough role to be in. Just be that listening, supportive person that you can be at that time. If they respond to you and you are able to say back what you're saying and say, oh, so you're saying this is what happened and this is how you're feeling. and just pause. And it's okay for them to expand on it or not expand on it, especially if you hear someone saying, I just don't want to be here. I want you to understand that that's not a suicidal statement. Ask them what they mean by that, and then let them expand on it before you call 911 on them, or before you assume that they want to hurt themselves. So expand on that, listen to it, and then, determine whether they're saying literally they want to hurt themselves. I don't want to be here. I'd rather be dead. I want to be dead. I don't want to be here. And I've thought about it. I've thought of going in front of the train, taking pills, or doing whatever they say to you. Then that's an indication that, there must be something, that is going on, and maybe they can get help, from someone. But regardless of whether they say that or not, if you've noticed a change in them, I want you to, again, be in a position where you help them connect with somebody that they can talk to. Right here, I put in this slide that if it's in an emergency, imminent danger, where you see somebody wanting to hurt themselves, 911 in this country, USA, in your country, there must be a different number. Give that number to the people or the person so that they can call that, or you can call that yourself. National Suicide Prevention Line, 800-273-TALK is another resource, again, here in the United States, which in your country, you can get that number as well for the Suicide Prevention Lifeline. National Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services helpline in this country, we have 800-662-4357. Let me also remind you that there's another free resource. If you are employed, your employer has this free resource that they call EAP, Employee Assistance Program. It's a paid service that employers have paid big companies that I am contracted with you in the United States, EAP programs. And what those big companies have is they have hundreds and thousands of us, mental health providers that will reach out to you, talk to you, support you, but it's free to you. Your company will never know that you called it. Ask your supervisor or your human resources for the EAP number. And in the comfort of your home, away from work, or even during your break, call that number and say, hey, I need to talk to a therapist. And they will connect you with a mental health therapist that can talk to you for free. Some companies have 5 sessions, some companies have 8 sessions, some have 25 sessions. It just depends on the benefit that your company bought. Every number of sessions is based on one problem at a time. So don't call and say, I have stress, I'm divorced, I am single, I was diagnosed with diabetes. I have one problem at a time. For each problem, you'll get, for example, 5 sessions. The next problem, you'll get another 5 sessions. So it's per problem that you're going through. So that's EAP, Employee Assistance Program. Once you give them and connect them to resources, make sure you follow up with them. And, just ask how they're doing, in a normal way. You don't want to hear the details, but say, hey, Mary, how you doing? How's everything going? Again, the key is to be able to get and stay in touch with people rather than wait until you have to recognize something and ask them, how are you? Many people will say, you don't care about me. I haven't talked to you in 2 years, and now you want to talk to me? Or even a manager that will say, well, I'm here every day and you never talk to me, and now you want to talk to me? Just check in with your people. If you're a pastor, check in with the people. And say, even when you're right there at the pulpit, and say, listen, I care about your mental health and mental awareness. And I'm giving you permission to share this in your churches everywhere. Just take the link and, blast them to your people and say, watch this, because it will get you the information that you need to seek the help that you need. When you need the help, I care. So this is really going to be a great resource for you people to watch this in the comfort of their homes. Again, the resources are accessing their EAP benefits, which is free mental health counseling if they're working in a job So here's how it goes. Let's say you have two people that are working, husband and wife. That means they have two different EAP services that they can use the benefits for free. Every member of the family is eligible to use those benefits. That is daughter, husband, girlfriend, live out boyfriend, children. They are eligible to be seen under those free benefits. Just call your EAP and say, I have my mother who lives, in Maine, but I live here. I'm having problems. I want her to talk to someone. Can you please connect her with someone? Because it's affecting my mental health. That means my benefit works, right? Your benefit works, seriously, for, even other relatives just be able to access that service. Many people haven't used that, and I'm just amazed. It's really a cool benefit. Remember how I said, just check in with a mental health professional and say, I'm just calling, I just want to check on my mental health. I've just want to know about my stress and anything that I can do just to help myself relax more and be mentally well even more. Use your EAP. Just call and just do that. As I said, it's free and you can, access that. If you don't know where to start to look for a mental health professional that takes your health insurance, or that even have what we call sliding fee scales, where it's literally next to nothing. They have low fees that you can afford. Please go to www.psychologytoday.com. They have profiles in there, and there are also other mental health providers that are now out there as of COVID. Many of them. I am a member of the psychologytoday.com, so that's one that I have always gone to. And again, you can go there, and other resources that are out there. Please access those and just make sure that you get connected to the right person. You don't have to stick to one person. Let's say you're using your EAP or health insurance. You talk to one therapist and it's not like connecting. You're not connecting with them. You're not obligated to make another appointment. Find another one. Call back the insurance at the back of your health insurance card, the 800 number, and say, you know what, can I get another name, or can I get more names of therapists? I just want to start everyone. I just want to start with another therapist. We are not for everyone. Every therapist is not for everyone. We have people that will resonate to different individuals. So it's okay for you to find that right person that resonates with you, that connects with you, because we care more about your mental health than you coming back and seeing me as a therapist. I care more about you finding that right person that will help you deal with any mental health, mental illnesses that you might be struggling with you, because my best interest is seeing the best version of yourself coming out and living your best life. At the back of your insurance card is a customer service number that you can call for any resources or referrals that you might need. If your card is only for mental health, they'll be able to lead you to your mental health company. They'll give you that 800 number. So just call that number and they will give you the right number. Ask friends for referrals. And they will give you therapists that they have worked with, therapists that they have known about. Ask friends for referrals. Again, your mental health and mental wellness is important. So make sure that you know that you have choices and you do not have to settle to working with someone or some people that are not working for you. There are many resources out there. As I said, access them and trust that you'll find the right connection and the right one for you. As a way to say thank you, I want to lead you to my website, www.drstemi.com. Right there, you will find some free resources. I have one that says how to deal with anger and frustration. I have one that is on Zoom fatigue, burnout prevention and coping tips. Many people don't even know that they're having Zoom fatigue because we've been on Zoom for years plus straight just working on the computer, and now people are starting to experience fatigue or even screen fatigue. There's one self-care, how to deal with painful emotions. You'll find some coping tips in there, and then tapping your way to a calm state. So those are some of the resources plus some more there. Just go to www.drstemi.com. If you are not finding them, go ahead and email me at DrStem. I can't even remember my own email, DrStem14@gmail.com, DrStem14@gmail.com, and say, Doc, can I get the link for the free resources? I'll send them to you. Don't worry about it. And then I also want to encourage you to listen to my free ebooks that I have there. These were the 4 books that I first wrote that you see on YouTube. I read the whole book, each one of them. I was in the studio reading each book. They're really good. I'm very proud because this is where my journey of being an author, speaker started. It's time to shift from fear to faith, finding your true self, thriving beyond the tears, which is my memoir. So this is really good. The power of prayer and belief. These are audiobooks that you'll find on YouTube. You can just even type Dr. STEM audiobooks and voila, you'll see all 4 of them. Listen to them as you drive, listen to them when you have downtime. If you are, at the beach, like I'm going to Jamaica tomorrow, stay there and just read them. You will find very valuable information for you, yourself, and even friends and colleagues. Share the links. Let's have everybody living their best life and finding the best version of themselves. So, as a motivational speaker, I always like to end my trainings with some form of quotations that will help you life. Remember, every day will not be the same. It's okay not to be okay. Nothing in this world can torment you as much as your own thoughts. Learn to manage your thoughts. When you make mental health a priority, you begin to feel better. You laugh and smile more. And the best thing is you become the reason that someone smiles today. Be that reason that someone smiles today. That's my goal and aim each and every day, each and every moment as I travel through this path of my life and my season. I just want to be more than an ordinary therapist, motivational speaker, and a servant of God. There is hope, even when your brain tells you that there is no hope. There is hope, and believe that. Every day is a new beginning. Take a deep breath, smile, and start again. You are enough. Say it after me. I am enough. I am enough. When I is replaced by we, even illness becomes wellness. I love this one. Do not give your past the power to define your future. Talking to a mental health professional, a professional coach, can help you make this process easier. I call it changing your story. Visit my website, www.drstemi.com, and learn more about the programs that I have on learning to change your story. Changing your story is not allowing your past to define your future. Mental health awareness is making self-care and well-being a priority. And that's what we've been doing in this presentation. So keep taking time for yourself until you are you again. Find your true self. Nurture your mental health. Be happy. Be well. So here's the key. If you see something, say something. Seek help. Mental health affects all of us. And as I said, it's okay to seek help. If you want to contact me or book me as your speaker at your next conference or workshop, then email me at drstem14@gmail.com, or you can visit www.drstemy.com. And as I always say, be encouraged. So I like to turn my video back on and just give you a virtual wave and congratulate you for finishing this whole presentation. Again, make sure that you gather loved ones around, even if it's a women's empowerment, church congregation, show this, share with them, email them, and let them know more about mental health, how to access the treatment and resources. Let not one person struggle alone again because they don't have enough information. There is information. There is help. And I hope that I've done my part on this Mental Healthness Day, in this Mental Health Awareness Month, that for years to come, you'll be able to play this over and over again with loved ones and let them know that there is treatment and they can be well again and live their best life. Once again, my name is Dr. Stem. Be encouraged.
Are you ready to live your best life? You deserve to wake up in the morning feeling excited about the day ahead. Don't waste any more time putting off your heart's desires. Embrace your passionate, joyful life with our brand new Unstoppable Renew You Love Your Life 90-day coaching program. Discover what makes your heart sing. Together we'll set meaningful goals and craft a path to a life you absolutely love. Are you ready to be free, fearless, and unstoppable? Visit our website at www.drstemy.com to learn more and book a free discovery call.